Oh, that's definitely new.
That is very, very creepy. All right, so I'm
Hmm.
gonna start say a little quote. I hope you don't mind. I'm sure you won't because you're
It's your jam, man.
pretty dope ass man. This is actually a quote from that was attributed to Jesus. I'll say it that way, so this way it could be friendly for everybody. Verily I say unto you, except ye be converted and become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven.
Hmm.
And that was actually a statement, which I love because normally he speaks in like, Jesus was attributed to speaking parables and not statements. So I
Hmm.
love that. And I think it's very fitting for me because I like to do comedy and I always like to joke around. And I use that point of view to chase despair away in a lot of situations. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
anyway, welcome, Zerilath. How are you today?
Hello, how's it going, Brandon? It's been a pleasure getting to know you over the last couple of what is it? Like how fast since we like connected here? It's like been like what, a week?
Days, weeks, years. I don't even know these days. It's going by so fast, but it seems like a eternity. It's great though.
Oh yeah, time got ground into dust last year, you know.
Yeah, it did.
All sorts of Saturnian energy got uprooted.
Amen.
Mm.
Synchronistic sip. I think that's a great way to put it because I
Did
feel
we just did you just literally sip? Because I wasn't looking at the screen when I sipped.
yeah, it was
Okay.
synchronistic. It was like a Scott. What was that guy Scott
Oh
Adams?
God, I know, right? Allegedly, could it be?
Um, yeah, I think it's great that you said that about 2020 because I feel that's exactly what happened, and now things people are trying to get like back to normal, but
Yeah,
a lot of people like us might realize, but a lot of people don't realize that it's not going to get back to any kind of normal as we know it. And it's just
right.
this weird new reality where like you can get away with anything as long as I've realized this one thing, as long as you admit you take personal responsibility and you say, "Oh, I'm sorry, that was my fault. I didn't mean it," or I'm sorry, it was whatever. People are like, "Oh my god!" But if you try to like make an excuse or push it off, they're like, "Eh." But if you just take personal responsibility for it, people are like, "You're their hero." That anyway, that's been my experience lately. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's an amount of integrity. Like people get really shocked when you do those things, right? You know, it's just like because it's been Memorial Day, the sacred cow of the "I died for your freedom" vets. They all come out, and so for me, it's a point of bravery to you know to to kind of go after that, and because it's just like I'm really kind of disappointed, in a military that, like, okay, you died for our freedoms. It was so you died to prevent 2020 from stopping everybody's freedoms, right?
Exactly.
Right? It's just like it's like broski. I'm not gonna like worship you like Jesus or something, or that guy that died that you're really upset about. It's just like you went to go die in somebody else's civil war in the sands. There are goat farmers here in America that need you.
Yeah, and the thing, this is the best part about this is I was in the Marine Corps. I did 4 years active duty. Now I was in before all this craziness. I was in the '90s, so I mean
Right.
we were still all these places where I believe we probably shouldn't be. Then I didn't realize it, but I think that's perfect because I felt the same way in Fourth of July 2020. I stayed in my house. Now my birthday's July 2nd, and I'm not like a big birthday like person, whatever. I don't,
Mm.
but I've always kind of had this I identified with July 4th and like a patriot and all this stuff previously. And so I was always excited about it. It was like one of my favorite holidays. And then this year, people are still going to celebrate. And I'm like, with your mask on, you're going to celebrate your freedom. Like I don't understand. Like it did not compute with me. So I just kind of stayed in my house and I not that I was in despair, I just did my own thing, but I was like, nah, like I can't do it.
Right. I mean, like, I just do my own thing. It's just like for the longest effing time, I've been like alone, except for like, finding my kind on the internet, right? It's just like, like we're eventually going to meet up. We're both
Yeah, Canisians, I
Kineticians,
like that. Yeah.
whatever the hell our state calls our residents, right? So like,
Kinetic cunts.
Connecticutans. Yeah, we're the Connecticutans. um, but but it's like my universe was like I was scanning for all these things online, and everything else. And like, you know, I'd find groups on social media. It's just like, all right, all these woke people, or, you know, like before woke became what the left, you know, like people saying woke, like wake up, like the Illuminati and the control grid and all this shit, you know. But like, you know, you'd find people just like, oh, you're out there in Utah, you're out there in California, like it's just like you're never in freaking local proximity to another person who is you know, like I have a couple different words for it, like the path of consciousness, or whatever it is, where two people can just, you know, talk about in practical application and heart-centered terms about uh, 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 our conscious reality, you know, as it really is, and being two people or more that want to, um, you know, bridge that divide and make sacred space to separate ourselves from what they're doing.
Yeah, or just two men that don't want to talk about sports or actually want to talk about things that matter, which I
Yeah,
find is, and this again, it's not a judgment, you know, for people who are listening. I'm not judging people. I understand because I was there once myself. So this is why I can make these statements. And this side of the fence, even though it seems a lot more boring, is amazing. I could just tell you that because my life has just been crazy, crazy gravy, like just been nuts lately. And it just really has to do with I think gratitude. I don't know, I don't mean to derail you what you were going. I think that was
no,
great. And
no,
it is beautiful now that we're connecting, because I was, as you were saying that, I was thinking how I watched this Mark Passio video, the Natural Law Seminar, and I'm like, man, that was like right across the street from where I used to DJ. Like if I just knew, I could have went over there. It's so crazy. And I'm like, where are all these people in Connecticut who are you know, conscious, as you say? And
yeah, yeah,
now we're starting to
yeah.
meet, and it's getting
You know,
exciting.
yeah, the system does work to you know, to serve rather manageably a whole lot of people and keep them, you know, entertained in a certain way. You know, like, you know, Pink Floyd, comfortably numb, you know. So that's where people so that's where a lot of people are at, you know, which is it's always, oh, those small sacrifices for the greater good. And the overboardness of the mask, you know, where it's just like a small sacrifice, you know, turns into people making the free will choice to muzzle themselves, just taking a walk down the street with nobody behind them or in front of them for like yards and yards. And it's just like, you know, broski, you know, have some fresh air. It's all I can understand if you're thinking, oh, somebody's 6 feet within me, you know, because that's the narrative. But you know, where's the narrative that you really should be wearing it all the time, you know? And it's, you know, it's those people that have rationalized that level of self-imposed shackles.
Mm.
You know, like that you're literally looking at a manifestation in tarot of the devil card, because one of one of the important points about the tarot card of the devil in Rider-Waite-Smith is that these shackles are very loosely placed around the neck. And you look at Adam and Eve, and when you think about what their relationship to the devil is, you ask yourself, when you notice the shackles are loose, like, bro, you could literally like just take those off, and I guess maybe the devil will chase you. But I mean, you should force him to, like, he's obviously doesn't have to freaking shackle you, is the point, right? So like the mask is very much like those shackles, you know, because what are you looking at? You're looking at you're looking at people that have played in the devil card, because we all do it. We're all there rolling with the indulgences, you know, at various points in our life until we grow out of them. If you don't grow out of them, what's the next card in the hero's journey? It's the tower, because you're in the devil's tower. These people stayed with the devil when the tower collapsed. So now they've fallen with Babylon. And that's the result is the despair. They don't get the star card. It comes up reversed for them at that point.
Yeah, I love you said that. I'm actually bringing up an image of the devil card now because I want to highlight even, I want to go even further into what you said, because the devil card is something that I've really been looking at lately in regards to what's been going on. Okay, now here we go. We look at it now. As you said, if you look at these chains, they're set very loosely, right? And then also, if you look at the male figure, he's gesturing to the devil. And in my view, I looked at it one day and he's kind of going like, well, what can I do? You know, I got this devil here. What am I going to do about it? I'm chained to it. What am I going to do? And it's not even like, I don't even think the devil will chase him. I just think that they're using the devil actually as a comfortable excuse to exist in whatever it is they're doing, escapism or whatever.
Right. And the devil benefits because if you see the male's tail is a flame and the devil points his torch down at the tail, he's lighting his own torch on our illumination, our fire, our energy, the battery.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. And I wanted to say also in regards to this, it's like if you're talking about the people masked up and stuff, it's like if it wasn't this devil, it would be something else. You know, there would be something there to control these people, because it's not something controlling them. It's basically them just giving control of their life to other people, really, you know, at the end of the day.
It's you pick your security blanket, which many a meme has related the mask to the security blanket.
One thing I wanted to ask you, because it jumped in my mind when you started to talk about everybody masking up, because a friend asked me, like, they said, Brandon, why do you think these people just did it? What do you think it was inside people that all of a sudden they just masked up, and then also will cause them to, like you said, walk around by themselves all masked up like that? Not just like being nice and putting a mask on and getting a store just so you don't have to hear people yell at you, but like walking down the street with a mask on.
Right.
When it's 90.
Yeah. The ultimate reason is that there's a psyop relationship which has been spoken of many a times by the elites and everything else related to the lockdowns and everything, with climate, the climate change narrative and everything else, because this is all about the institution as a religion of scientism. And so what you're really looking at here is that people were listening for a long time and then really poked at heavily in the Trump era of politics about, oh, these science deniers, climate deniers, everything else. So people said, like, here's a scientific based crisis that scientific based solutions are going to save us from. And, if they were to go against those institutions about this, then they would feel like hypocrites about how much they were defending their beliefs about how carbon emissions work, which that lovely thing in that image behind you would not be able to breathe if we didn't have any of.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's like gambling, kind of, when you double down, and it's you're, at the end of the day, it's like cognitive dissonance. You're just lying to yourself, you know?
Yes.
So you just, like you said, you just keep going deeper. And I felt like I can relate to that really well, because I overcame addiction in my own life, and I was lying to myself. I had like very severe intimacy issues. I write about it in my book, guys. Go check it out, shadowwork.com. We're not going to get into it too deep now. I mean, I don't mind. I don't mind talking about it, but I understand, because I feel like I was just in a quest to validate what I was doing. I would find evidence to support things like, oh yeah, like monogamy is not natural, everybody. Like, you're supposed to, we evolved this way, which, this is the thing I found about truth. You could find truth, and it could be very dangerous if you come across it, if you're not ready for it, because depending on your point of view and how you see the world, it could be this nugget and you could hold on to it. Like, this is true. Like, this is my precious, like, golem. And at the end of the day, it's like the world just passes you by, because it's like, yeah, that might be true, but look at what else is possible, so.
Yeah, precisely, which is why, which is why it's just like the truth, like the truth has to come and how does the truth serve you? At a certain point, I realized that people will, they'll specifically like not want to look there because they don't want to know that there's something really bad going on. uh there's so many levels of epistemological philosophical thinking that's going on, and that sets the mindset. And so most people on the unconscious pathwork of being led by the system, by society, by by the by their social credit, if you will, they're not going to want to go that way because they've got the comfortably numb system working for them. They got the house over their head, they've got their friends, they've got their job, they've got all these things, and they don't even want to start thinking about rewiring the way they look at their life. you know um and it takes a lot of integrity to go there. It takes a lot of fearlessness, um amongst other things. And so like I eventually had to learn that myself, as I picked up on why it wasn't working, and I changed even the truthers that I was associated with. Like I started walking away from truthers because like at a certain point I looked at enough conspiracies where I said, okay, I know enough now, while I still continue to learn, to say, where are the solutions? Where are the answers? Where is the better life? Where is the actual organization, where we have each other and we don't have to worry about things that we don't know, that we can that we end up having false assumptions that betray us, right? I mean, like I hate, like I used to have a very, like I used to call myself libertarian, but at the end of the, but that was because, well,
Me too.
Ron
Me too.
Paul,
That's why I'm laughing. Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah, exactly. Ron Paul.
Exactly. But
How
you
could you
look at,
not?
but if you say libertarian, people are going to think of Libertarian Party, and the Libertarian Party is fucking weird, and they've got some weird globalist like aspects to their ideals, and inroads for big corporations that is not part of the intended point of the libertarian principles that I was picking up on from the Ron Paul movement. And so I just walked away from all of that too. I was running a little bit with the people from Lyndon LaRouche's universe. That's a lesser known universe, and there's a lot of there's a lot that they know going on over there. But they also have some larger issues, which involves they were all about like the Silk Road, and they didn't have such big issues with China, which I can understand that from respecting them as a nation, like their national sovereignty or whatever. Um, uh, um, but at the same time, I felt like it was still a position of giving them too much power. And then I also found out that a lot of them really didn't like Ayn Randian principles on any level. And I'm just like, oh, you guys are like anti Ayn Rand. It's just like, I can understand having a debate, big differences. I mean, I don't agree with everything. I'm not an atheist, for
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
But it's just like, you're like, oh, Ayn Rand, shut up about that. I'm like, what? Like, okay,
I never understood that
I don't think I
either.
can be here anymore,
Yeah, I never
guys.
understood that either.
Thanks for taking me in a little bit, but I don't feel right. I don't, that hurts the heart a little bit. I don't think you understand what I understand.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
and so it becomes difficult, looking for your tribe and your kind.
Yeah, I always found that with libertarianism also is what I feel like it was because it was like the place for the nerds, the logical people, because they had all the answers. Well, the like the Rothbardians, like Mises and stuff.
Mm.
And but what the problem is, it was just inverted because there's really no way to get anybody to accept that unless they come to it on their own accord. And really the only way to come out on your own accord is to get to know yourself and to in my own opinion, that's the way I got there, was to get to know myself, aspects of myself, who I really am, like what I might be really doing here, like, and find purpose. And then I could live, then I would just live that way automatically. So I wouldn't have to study and break it down and say, this is the way we should live, because that's just the way I would end up living, you know? So it's great, but it's like one of these traps you can get stuck in because it's so beautiful and like exquisite. It's like all this food you could just taste and have the sense pleasure. It's just the sense pleasure of very smart, logical people, because it just makes sense. And you could listen to these podcasts all day, you know, about like Mises and Rothbard and like all their great ideas. And it's like, yes, but it's like, but how do you get there? At the point of a gun? No, we can't do that. Like,
Right. Exactly. You know, so, you know, at the end of the day, you just have to, you know, it's just like when, you know, when I saw, like, you know, for the community that's bringing us together, like the whole Beartarian thing, the whole, you know, like when I saw what Owen Benjamin was doing, it's like, yeah, no, that motherfucker figured it out. It's just
yeah.
like, you know, it's just like I'm in too much of a debt position where I can't go and do that. But him, he can build off of that before his freaking money runs out, because he just got kicked out of Hollywood and the Babylon internet. and he spent what he had very wisely. And you know, and if it wasn't for that, you know, people like us may not have met.
Yeah, that's what I think the really important thing. And I think, and in my humble opinion, like, who am I? But I feel that that's what Owen realizes too when I hear him speak, because he's like saying how he's like, guys, go to meetups. He's like, it doesn't matter. It's not about me. And I'm like, yeah, it isn't. Like, he's funny and he's like my favorite comedian. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to worship him. He's not a god. Like, yeah, I'd like to meet him, but if I don't, I'd rather meet people in my area that I can connect with, because that's going to help me, instead of watching every single one of his streams, every second of it, which is gravy and I would do. But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
you know, I think that's really where the true gold lies. And it's great that he was able to get in that position. And everybody, I feel that, because I think a lot of people that watch Owen Benjamin, or some people, I don't want to speak for anybody, but I feel like, because this happened to me early on too, I felt like I kind of had to be on that same path or something, you know, like I felt like, oh, my life was like not complete because I didn't have goats or whatever. And I think that it's important to remember that we all have our own path. And, you know, it's better to fail on your own path than succeed in someone else's, because when you fail, at least you can learn how to rebuild it, you know? So it's good to learn from people like
Yeah.
that and emulate and everything. And, you know, in my own life, I just started a garden because of it, because
Yeah.
it's like you keep seeing it and you're like, I want to do this. I want to do. So I think that positive example overall is what's most important. And that's why I feel like he's so, like he just keeps getting taken off the internet, because it's like it's a true
Yeah.
positive example. And he's like, he's telling truth, but giving people a way out. That's easy, because all you got to do is get one plant and put on your windowsill and watch it grow. And then you'll know more about life than they
Yeah.
teach you 12 years in school. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, no, I just really enjoyed like watching him like sit there, hit an epiphany and being like, oh, look at that. His thinking is now more in line with my, because I feel like I'm watching somebody catch up with me and they don't even know it. So it's kind of fun for me in that respect, you know? Like I was one of the guys, like I tried writing him a letter and I think it didn't get to him for whatever reason, you know, when he was you know, questioning the Trinity, and he's kind of figuring it out, and like he understands like the pagan side of the Trinity because of how he's working with Benjamin Balderson or whatever. But like, you know, so I'm hearing him hear all these things, and he likes the based pagans and stuff, and I'm just like, okay, I feel like this is you know, like, yeah, because I wasn't listening to him for a while. I took a break from it, then I jumped back in, and I saw where he was at, and it was like, oh, I'm very excited and interested again. But
Yeah.
yeah, but no, but not to sit here and stroke Big Bear's ego for this show, but just bringing it up because first conversation, and it's what brought us together. So anyway.
Yeah, no, I think it's good that we touched on it. And I think anyone that's listening to this, if you do like Owen and you're not on Beartaria Times, you should definitely get on there, because it's a very cool social media app. And even if you have no idea who he is, you should check it out, because it's basically, it's like a social media app where everyone's just having a good time. They just show like you know, good stuff with their family, kids, pets, like whatever you're into, like art, you know, like abstract art. It's just anything you're into and all fun stuff, and no like crap or despair, which is nice.
Yeah, yeah. Very, positivity. Not even the jokes that are even like Owen style jokes.
Yeah, it's good to have a place to just go, because so many other places are filled with kind of like despair, especially on like your social media. Because
Yeah.
everybody I know, if you're into truth, it's just like, did you hear this? Did you hear that? And I'm like, no, but I heard about my tomatoes outside. I heard they're growing. Like,
Right, right.
all right, so let's bring this back around, and let me ask you a good question. So what's the first how did you get into tarot? Because I, just so you know, like about 3 years ago or 4 years, I got into it about 3 years ago, but prior to that, I thought it was all just nonsense. Like, I thought it was people tricking other people, basically. And now I understand that that does happen a lot. So I was right, but then also there's more.
Oh,
Like,
for sure, right? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, for with the tarot, it's real interesting because like because the beginning of my study on the occult was when I was going through all my truther stuff, and I was learning about like the Bohemian Grove and all this stuff, and that there are these the dark Luciferians that pretend that they're Christians or whatever, and I wasn't like really a Christian at the time. I was much more a pseudo agnostic, maybe like very interested in new age kind of things per se or whatever, was making me kind of comfortable with all that stuff. And I did a lot of studies, a little bit to a lot of what their thing was about, like what does the enemy do, like they're doing this magical practice, seems to have some sort of validity to it. Allegedly, these demons are fairly real or whatever. So then I started looking at, well, like, what do I do to empower myself? Because like if there are magi having a war, like I want in. I'll be a soldier. I'll go and become a wizard in my own right, serving the light, and so eventually I learned a thing or two about tarot, but it was hard for me to get through all that stuff. At a certain point, um, I'm gonna name drop. I'm gonna name drop him right now. I went and I signed up for the initiate services of Sethicus Boza. He's got a channel and a website called Black Earth Productions, which I was all of a sudden absorbing a bunch of his stuff. I considered him a kindred spirit because he understood all of these things. He was an occultist working on serving the light, and he was a metalhead and like myself, and so I had all this on that level. I identified with him, and so we agree on a great many of things. So I hit him up and I paid for his services, went through that, and part of that is getting introduced to the runes, getting introduced to tarot, and that's where I really started spending my time getting to know the cards. Where basically you start with the Fool through the Hermit in the Greater Arcana, then you finish off the Greater Arcana, and then you go and you get to intuitive, the lower arcana, and understanding that wing of the journey, and you keep at it until you kind of grow into someone who finally can start doing the readings with a high degree of understanding and competence. Your intuitive nature picks up on it, because like a lot of people, I think they read the cards, they're a little bit too literalist, academic about it almost, and which I appreciate, and that's there and a part of it. But I'm pulling a card and I'm saying, oh, and it means this and it means that, and I'm feeling it in, you can't see me, but I'm pointing at my heart. I'm feeling it in the heart center, and understanding the language of your heart, I think matters a lot when you're doing an intuitive level of reading, because I pick it up, I look at the symbol, I'm thinking about like what the focus of it is, and where it's coming from, whether it's from my own personal inquiry, or whether it's with someone else, and I'm getting a vibe for it, and I don't say anything where I feel like, if my heart feels a stress, it's telling me, nope, nope, that's not the thought, that's the thought, say it, say that, and then that's what happens, and and it flows, and I wouldn't even know that I'm doing it right until I get the fucking feedback. And it's like I get astounded, I always feel astounded, I always get that big good feeling smile, about understanding that the magic, the psychic energy is real, when I get that feedback from somebody. So like, oh my god, dude, that is so spot on, and they start asking me the follow-up questions, and the conversation starts to flow the right way, and it built all the confidence for me to know that, okay, I am absolutely in my own right doing it correctly.
Yeah, I think that is super important because, like you said, a lot of people take it literally, just as people take the Bible literally.
Mhm.
And again, it's a beautiful thing. And I think it's, there's nothing wrong with it. And there's just other ways to interpret things. And I found
Right.
when you can make that connection, people call it like a source connection or whatever it is. I feel like you're just intuiting how you do it. And some people do it through the heart. Some people do it through like their guts, their mind, or, like, it's a different way to look at it, but it takes a village, as they say. And when we work together with all these concepts, it's amazing. When do you remember when you got your reading from Sethicus? I'm familiar with him.
It was 2018, I think. It was
Okay.
about 20. I think it was about 2018, or so. It's around the time I sent you the link, back when my nickname was Travesty, before I made myself Zerilath. I interviewed him when I was doing internet radio, on a truth network, and so it was around that time. I actually had done that interview before I had actually gone and picked up on doing the service, um, and so and I believe that was 2018, when I found him.
That's great because I actually had a reading with him as well in 2019. So
Oh, okay, very cool. Yeah, you didn't tell me that when I originally linked you. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, 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 yeah.
I've been like very scatterbrained because I've been, just craziness, like starting a garden and like DJing started again. So
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, there's been a lot that I've missed or went through the cracks or like totally like, out of my brain. But yeah, that's an amazing synchronicity. And I think it's great because really whatever pulls you to get to know yourself better. And one thing that he told me was to stop going down rabbit holes unless they're like rabbit holes of getting to know yourself. And I was like, wow. And I've been telling everybody that since he told me that. I'm like, that's some,
Hmm.
because I feel like you said with the truther stuff, it's like the phrase in the Bible, seek and you shall find.
Mm.
That's a warning. That should be also taken as a warning, as like, listen, if you're going to look for something, you are going to find it no matter what it is. If it's aliens created the human race, if you look
Yeah.
the way that you could trick yourself into it, maybe, like, again, if you're not looking into yourself, there's these elements that people call demons or whatever, tricksters like Loki. In my opinion, they could
Yeah.
exist inside you and they will keep
Yeah.
you running in circles, like looking at all this lovely shiny information while you engage in
Yeah,
escapism.
that's the egregores. These are the self-manifested demons.
Yeah.
I've been accused, of having that, and people that apparently are very powerful light workers don't want to talk to me because they sense an egregore, and it's just
It's
like,
their own egregore.
you're scared of my egregore,
They're
and
scared of their
so
own
you don't want to
egregore.
talk to me. Got it. You're a real warrior there.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. That too. Yeah. Well, that's kind of a spell that I will use if somebody is, let's say, just very dogmatic in their Christian views. Even I'll just say, I'll just tell a story because this will put it perfectly. I was at a barber shop. I used to have much different hair. It was shorter. I used to have like a mohawk and stuff.
Right. Well, you used to be military.
Yeah.
You had to have that. You had to have that Semper Fi cut.
That's right. 7'5", dude. I was.
Hoorah, soldier.
Yeah. I kept it for a while, but then I even got a little crazy with mohawk. So I used to go to this barber shop that my friend brought me to. It was a little hood, but I fit in everywhere, so it's great. So I would always have fun conversations, man. There's always a great conversation going on at the barbershop. And one day I was just sitting in there and this guy was in there, older black gentleman. He's just like complaining about the state of the world, everything, just like how terrible it is. And I could tell he was a Christian because of a couple things he said. And I'm like, hey, sir, you mind if I ask you mind if I ask you a question? I'm like, you believe in God, right? Yeah. I'm like, God created everything, right? Yeah. I'm like, well, God's perfect, right? Yeah. I'm like, well, then isn't God's creation perfect? Like all of it? Isn't it all perfect? And he's like, well, but no, I'm like, he's like trying to argue me. I'm like, you're arguing with God right now because it's, were you trying to say he's not perfect? So it's amazing. Like people will, that you just
people with us know their Bible better than they do most of the time.
Yeah.
So, it's just like, oh, let's deconstruct that because I bet you know dick about etymology. Did you know that this word in Hebrew actually means this?
Yeah, that's where it gets really scary.
Yeah. But, like Elohim being plural. Oh, pagans. Oh.
Yeah. They just meant angels. Don't worry. It's fine.
Oh, yeah, sure. Oh, except for the fact that the word is actually malak, which means messenger, which also angel means messenger, but their etymologies are completely different and does not belong in the translation. It's like it's malak. Oh yeah, and malak also happens to be the name of one of the various Babylonian demons that you guys are afraid of, but you didn't know that that's the same word used for messenger of the Lord. Just you guys are super confused, and that's why you're neurotic.
It's though, again, I view it as all perfect because this is my thing. I can really, I mean, I could be cool and break bread with anybody, but my thing is like, when people start talking about cosmology or whatever, I'm like, listen, as long as you believe this isn't random and there's a creator to all this, we're cool, man. That's all we got to, but if not, then we can have the debate. And then if they want to debate further, I can, but I just will keep bringing them back to, you believe in God created everything. It's perfect, right? Okay. It's all perfect. Let's go have lunch. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Exactly.
I don't need to debate the theology, like you said, the Bible that I've been studying.
It's like people are mad. It's meant to make people mad at free will, and when you get mad at free will, you're willing to accept authoritarianism.
Yeah, and that's really where the key that I find that you can get people like libertarians and stuff to fall in line if they are like a Catholic, because of that. It's like it's that one thing that it's an inconsistency. They accept that inconsistency. They have faith. So then at the same time, they'll still obey all the laws and do everything they're supposed to do. And not, I don't know, kind of do their own thing. So like, as what I see a lot with the libertarians is like a lot of people who have all these great ideas, but still live like a slave. Whereas I don't live like a slave. And it's just because it's mental, because I'm free. I just live like I'm free, and it just kind of happens in my life. It just manifests that way, I guess I could say. So I don't have to have any ideologies. I just know that I'm not a slave and I own myself and I'm responsible for myself. But it's hard work. You got, like I said, I have to work all the time. Obviously, I start a garden. I don't rely like on the government money and all this stuff.
Right.
But it's so much more freeing. Kind of got lost on a tangent there. But anyway.
It's okay.
What's your iguana's name?
His name is Loch, Loch. Some people think I named him Loki, but no, it's Loch, like
Loch Ness Monster,
like the Loch Ness Monster, Scottish lake.
Yeah,
that's what I went with. But Loki does work because he's got the he jumps off somewhere and he knocks things over and causes a little bit of trouble. Like that, so and
like
he's very quick, but like I love it. It's because like working with him is a great way at understanding the whole reptilian brain, as is talked about in psychoanalysis. Um, because he's chill, like like I mean, you saw him, he flinches just a tiny bit, like right there, but it's just like the way their memories work. It's like when I go and I put him down and then I go away for a while, if I come back to go pick him up, he gets he can be a little he can be super jittery, and he might make like a break for it or whatever, and it's a big lesson in your own nervous system, right? It's just like, how do you move around them where they're not scared of you, like that, but then like once you got a handle on him and you're making him feel safe and comfortable, like, he chills right up, and then he's a total cupcake, you know, because he can be very dangerous. The tail can whip really hard, and he could bite my tip of my finger off, like powerful jaws, but he trusts me because of the bonding time that we've put in, and so I literally have absolutely no fear. So I can go like this. He's never going to snap at me like that.
I think the no fear thing is very important because
Mhm.
if you had fear, he could sense it. And then he would, on some level, because he's reptilian, he would say, all right, this thing is fearing me. That means that it's a scare, there must be something wrong. So then it's just going to react to your fear. Whereas if
Right,
you're
right.
just chill, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's all gravy, baby.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. At the end of the day, he doesn't want to have any kind of like, kind of like, sudden like, Jared, like, oh, what is that?
Yeah.
Ching! And
Oh,
then
yeah.
bounces.
Yeah.
It's like Zoidberg, a threat.
Zoidberg. Yeah. Finally, somebody watched Futurama.
Of course, man.
Yeah, that's yeah, that's a good one. I think Bender's probably my favorite character of all time for cartoon characters, just because the reason is like I really like Eric Cartman too. He's hilarious, but Bender, I want to hang out with Bender. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I guess so. I'm not sure about that. Remember, Bender's gonna rob you blind as
oh
a
yeah,
friend. Like
yeah,
somehow like, good, we're friends, I can rob you. It's just like, that's Bender's morality.
I know, but it's just so hilarious though,
I
because
know.
it's like from a place of innocence so much. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's great. So, how long have you been doing readings for people?
Um, I really kind of jumped into readings, maybe readings, like really doing the readings. I'm gonna say it's been maybe like 18 months or something now. It's been a little over a year where I opened it up. I did a lot of times where it was just like me personally kind of like working with the cards, and I'll watch like some current event on TV, like something's good, seems like it's gonna happen, and like I'll do a reading, like, tell me something so I can understand it, and kind of vibe with that. If I had like friends that understood, and say like, I've been working on my tarot craft, and let me know if you want a reading because I need practice, right? So you get your friends that'll let you that'll play guinea pig for you, so you can kind of like experiment on what makes sense. And after enough of that, I said, okay, I think I'm confident enough where I can start like, offering it as a service and picking a amount of money to charge for it, so on and so forth. And I get a reading here and there, nothing that gets me off of the regular income that I work off of, but I'm very grateful because the universe can provide even if it's at the last minute.
Yeah, I found that myself as well because I've been doing readings probably about maybe the same, a little longer. I don't even know. I don't
Mm.
even know what year it is. Like I said, the time's been so crazy. But I started very similar too, and I think that it is really a good way to do it because it's like once you get going with it and you figure it out and you realize that like every time, like I was really nervous when I first started it, but
Hmm.
I had like a positive experience every time. And I'm like, all right, well then why am I nervous right now? It's just going to be fun. So now I just let go. And recently
Yeah.
I did a reading for a 16-year-old girl who's my friend's daughter, because I do readings
Hmm.
for her. And I was actually nervous about it because I'm like, I don't really have much in common with a 16-year-old girl. And
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
going to be a little strange, but we didn't really talk a lot. I just kind of talked about the cards, and it made sense. She just had a question for herself, and I guess she has gotten some clarity. So that's really all that mattered, and it was a good experience.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, like the message is getting channeled, you know, through you, that this helps you interpret, everything you do in the shuffling that creates the order that the pick happens is part of a subconscious pickup. There's the and there's a karmic agreement that energetically locks all that together with the one who is who really wants it, right? It's just like you can't do this kind of stuff, unless they are really forthrightly interested. It can't be. It's not like a car salesman who can just show up in all the metaphysical community like, and hi there, and just letting you know I'm the best tarot reader around. You have to get one from me for $90 for an hour. It's it doesn't
Yeah.
work like that. It doesn't work like that at all. It'll jinx the reading. It just will.
Yeah, for sure. Because the person has to want to see it, because if not, they're just not going to get anything out of it. That's what I tell. And I always tell people, I'm like, listen, if you don't get anything out of the reading, it's fine. It's like, you don't have to pay me if you don't want to or whatever. Like, I'll still get something out of it. That's what I tell people. But I think it's good for people who are listening, who are thinking about doing this, to definitely charge, because you have to know your self-worth, and you don't even have to do it money wise if you don't want to. There's other ways to do it.
Yeah.
But it's definitely good to get your worth, because you are expending your energy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Because I do enjoy it. Like I'll do it like as something I enjoy on a sociable level. Like even if you weren't offering to like make this as a recording that's going to go up somewhere, it's just like, as two guys building a rapport, we like each other. It's just like, bro, if you want a reading, man, I would just give it to you,
mm,
just like, hey man, can I buy you lunch? It's like that.
yeah, exactly. And I feel that it's part of for me anyway, it's part of the way to view it, like the ethos of it, because if you're going to use this gift, I guess you call it, it's like, it's not up to you what you get to benefit from it. It's, you're just doing it. That's what you're here to do, and then the universe will provide. But in our society, it's easy to tell people, hey, just give me $90, like, instead of trying to explain that to everybody, because you already have to give them a reading instead of trying to explain how you're existing in the realm. But speaking of readings, I was shuffling my deck up. I use the Aleister Crowley Thoth deck, and I also
Mhm.
use a Rider Waite deck that, synchronicity about, I just don't know where it is right now. I haven't been able to locate it for about a week, so it's hiding from me. But I think that's good, because I think for some reason I'm being called to use the Thoth deck a little more, especially because it's been being called evil a lot lately. So
Well, yeah,
I'm
like
gonna try to heal it.
yeah, yeah, I guess I've got my own I've got my own very particular feelings about Crowley, and I try not to be prudish about it, because like it's just kind of chaos magic just is what it is. Yeah. Did you see I left a comment on your channel on the Two of Wands? I'm wondering if you caught it, because if you're going to use your Thoth deck, um the Two of Wands on the Thoth deck, I realized the hilt of those two wands, they look like elves. They've got
Uh,
faces.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's a little detail that I noticed.
yeah. I didn't get a chance to look at it. I did see that you commented that though, and I've been kind of thinking about that, because it's like the Loki aspect, and this is the third time that this is going to come up in this show. So
Hmm.
um when I talk about this deck, and I talk why I use it, it's because I like the symbolism in the artwork. And I understand Aleister Crowley, and like, you know, it's one of these characters where it's like you could be on either side of the guy. You know, you could find, it's like the Bible, you could just pull out what you want, right? Not you, but just people have done it. And I think it's more of a thing where I go back to, you believe in God, God think, you know, create everything, everything's perfect, right? So no matter what Aleister Crowley thought he was doing,
Right.
fight that, he created something, and I just like really at this moment in time I relate to it. Now, do I use it to like divinate everything my whole life? No, I just think that the symbols kind of speak to me in a way right now. So that's kind of
Yeah.
how I look at it. And I know you understand that, obviously, and I like to say this for people who are listening. It's not like I view the deck as a way to gain any power or anything, or I'm not trying to contact or channel any entities when I use this kind of stuff. It's more about a conversation with myself and kind of what comes out.
Yeah, yeah. I've got no worries about any of
Oh
that.
yeah, no, I'm sure
Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think that's great though, that because um I don't know, it just really highlights uh the individual aspect of this all, you know, like this whole universe. I tell people it's like many paths to the mountaintop, you know, like,
Mm.
but this is gonna be, I think this will be funny. So I was shuffling and I pulled this deck. I'll just share the screen. It's the Hermit, of course, because
No.
this card is like a card that, it's kind of one that I identify with a lot, and it follows me around a little bit. And then this is card. So in a typical 3 card reading, the way I do it, the first card, and I've even, you know, Michael Tessarion, are you familiar with him?
I love Michael Sarion's work, and just like his stuff is largely behind a paywall now, but I follow David Whitehead, so yeah, Michael Sarion is one of the best, one of the best.
I'm glad you agree, because I actually also enrolled in his mystery school, the tarot school, and I learned a lot about tarot that way.
Yeah, yeah.
And I used to follow kind of those methods strictly, and then I found that it's just all individual, and I just found my own way to do it. So I have a bunch of different ways I do things, but the basic way that I do it, instead, well, you could do 1 card reading, but I'd like to do a 3 card reading. It's just the best way because you can get a really good perspective. So the first card I kind of associate with like the past of a situation, and in this card for you, you've already told me, like the Hermit, this is you, but obviously he has this light in his hand, and there's like that egg in front of him, and you
Mhm.
see the dog, what's that called again? I always get it wrong.
That is Cerberus,
Cerberus, yeah,
the
yeah,
Greco-Roman hellhound.
exactly.
Would
And
also be known as Garm in the Norse tradition.
what's that represent?
Well, he's the guardian. He's the guardian of the underworld. Like that is like basically like, imagine you're at the gates of hell, and you have to pass through hell to find your shadow, to master yourself. You have to face this hellhound and pass it unharmed, if you will, or even harmed. Like, the point is, you got to survive passing through the guard of the underworld, so that way you can go and seek yourself within the darkness.
That's great, because I feel that because the Hermit isn't facing this, he's already kind of walking away, that he's already done this, and he might even be the person who is letting other people know that this is what's coming for you. Like, this is what's next, everybody, you know. And I feel
Right.
like doing this work for people, you're showing them that light, and then shedding that light upon that, they see that, they can see that precipice, and it's up to them if they want to go in the underworld or not. And I feel like this card represents, for you, this is that work, and you kind of honing it and working on it and figuring it out, and then bringing it into fruition. But yeah, this card is like, I really like how he's kind of lost in the wheat also, because if you think about
Mm.
what wheat can represent, or just that growth, um he's like hiding in the shadows of it all. And if you think about the Rider-Waite, the tarot, that deck, how the Hermit, how the Hermit, he's on top of the mountain in that card. And it represents kind of the same thing. Like he went through the underworld and he emerged at the top, and now he has the clarity to see everything. But the thing is, you can't just exist there. Then after you gain that knowledge, now you have to express it as wisdom. I mean, you don't have to, but it's recommended that you express it as wisdom, obviously, to people who want to hear it. Just, you can't just express it to everybody, because then they'll just burn you at the stake, right? But I feel that's the next kind of step for it. And I feel that's how you're doing it, is by doing these readings. So good on you, because if not, that's a lot of things I see. Some of these people come across this truth that's driving them a little bit crazy. And I always tell them, like, hey, do you have a podcast? Like, do you have a way to express this? Do you have something to do? Like,
Okay. All right. Yeah. So like, if that's like a 1-card pull, I can gladly do a 1-card pull for you, my friend.
Oh, I got more cards.
Let's see.
Go ahead. You pull one now. That was the past
you do?
Situation. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. If you want to go back and forth, or you want to do yours, then do
no, go back and forth. I like this. This is a great idea.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I work with the 4 decks that I have. So I got the Rider-Waite Smith, obviously, and then I have one called Crystal Visions, which is kind of like a high fantasy style deck. It's got a lot of really good feminine energy, to the point where there's a lot of they cross gender. Like the Hermit is a fairy, it's a female, like in this deck, so they do little things like that. But the core stuff, like the king is male, but stuff that's specifically gendered. But then the other stuff they can play with. I've got this one was a gift, the Da Vinci deck. All of it is based on Da Vinci art sketches, which is really cool. That's amazing. Then my personal favorite is the Wildwood Tarot, which is a pagan themed Indo-European deck. It's probably the best pagan tarot deck.
I'm gonna have to try to give me one of
that
those.
There is. Oh yeah.
I also want to say one thing too, really quickly. The other reason I work with a Thoth deck is because Michael Tessarion heavily recommends it. That's one of the other deck. He uses that and the Rider-Waite to divinate and stuff for people. So I was really put onto it by him also. So for what it's worth.
Yeah. I had gotten my Crystal Visions deck like first, but before I really understood anything that I was doing. And then when I was working with Sethicus, he told me get the Radiant Rider Smith. And so that's what I got on his recommendation. So I did my learning based on that. And then over time, I went and got my 3rd deck, and that was this one. And then I got gifted the Da Vinci deck by a lady friend who didn't quite work out. But we gave gifts to each other, and so it's all good.
Yeah, that's really good, because I got 2 cats by a lady friend that didn't work out, and I love them. They're sitting right here, so it's fine. And they're black cats, everybody. So I'm not racist, all right? No.
Right. Woo-hoo. All right, look at you, man. You got the King of Stones, which is equivalent to King of Pentacles, obviously.
I keep getting wolves every time we have a guest. They pull something with a dog or a wolf. It's so awesome. And you know what? I was in the Marine Corps. You know what the name of my unit was? My squadron?
Wolf Pack.
The Moon Dogs.
The Moon Dogs. All right.
Moon Dog is Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Dogs of War stuff. There's there's a reason for that. It goes back to an ancestral tradition connected to Odin's various elite soldiers, such as the Ulfednar, which the Ulfednar are effectively they're primal ninjas. They're the Indo-European equivalent of the ninja. That's how they operate. They're elites. So like this is the King of Stones, so that's King of Pentacles. Uses the wolf as the totem. So yeah, I mean that's probably just it's probably just saying that like you're an alpha wolf in that respect, right? And so your principal thing is being a champion of or being a master of rather the abundance of your pack, right? So I think that is a main thing that's happening with you. You got the full moon here. This is happening in the winter time. So, like you're being a king in the winter, you're able to handle that under, the harshness of when the sun has gone away for its time, and that there is not much fertility in the world. Um, and now, what I do, however, which is what makes me so special, is I have a synthesis process with the Elder Futhark runes. So my natural way is to draw a card and then to draw a rune that expresses along with it. And so the cards, they represent the psyche. So the card is a psyche aspect of the position, and the rune is the energetic aspect of the position. And I'll get into a little bit of an explanation of that. And so, okay, so I have drawn for you. This is Algi's or El Hajj reversed. This is made out of holly wood, a little grabbler wood for you. And I made this myself from a branch of Hollywood, and then I used a Dremel tool and a solder to actually burn that into the wood.
I'm so jealous right now. I just want to say I want to make my own rune set now. I've already had that idea when I saw that video that you made, everybody. So if you're listening, check out his videos. We'll put a link under this, and he has about learning.
It's very easy as long as you got the tools. It's very easy because, unlike tarot and other divinations, like there's no fancy artwork. They're letters. Yeah. So like this one, which I didn't make myself, I got this one off of an Etsy store for Oriamnos Oddities. And she and her husband like live out in like, I think the woods of Colorado, and like she just makes all sorts of pagan crafts herself. So you can see right there. That's what it looks like upright, right? So the El Hajj is it's the Z, it's the letter Z in its phonetic pronunciation, and it represents the elk, which the elk is kind of the catch-all word for a horned beast of the woods. And so these the three prongs that stick up like that is that's the antlers, that's defense, right? And this represents itself because there's two runes that represent defense in the Elder Futhark, which is the Thorn or Thrisaz rune, which is associated with Thor himself, and that is about physical defenses, boundaries, and protection. El Hajj is about psychic powers. It's about your mental fortitude. It's about it's about that shamanic energy that courses through you. The other way that everybody looks at this in its upright position is that you think of it as the shaman with his arms outstretched to the heavens, like that, calling down the power from the gods. So when it is reversed, it is revealing that there's a certain amount of vulnerability. Like this is the kind of vulnerability that comes from, if you understand something like how they talk about the lore of vampires, and a vampire can't enter your house unless invited, which comes from a state of mind. There's no physical threat. This is just coercing you into letting them in. There was a movie about this called Let Them In, or Let the Right One In, which operated on expressing how that curse, that limitation of a vampire's ability works. And so this expresses, so you've got this whole alpha wolf thing. You might be experiencing where you've let in people that might be a bit exploitative of you, and they've kind of come into your personal space because you may have made some subconscious agreements that allows them to to encroach upon you on a personal level. And so it's put you in a posture of surrender, because if you want to talk about some of the wizardry out there. Especially when you see it with this, because it's on a round chip. It comes up like this. What does that look like?
Peace.
Oh, that's the peace sign. What also is known as the peace sign is Nero's cross. And it doesn't actually mean peace. That's the wizardry. It means surrender.
Mm.
When it's upright, it means that you've got your defenses. Here you're harmless. It's like, gun control, or being armed to the teeth. Hey, look at that. This is a much more peaceful world when we're armed to the teeth. Don't we understand that now? This is the real peace sign. This is surrender. This is where the horde comes after you, right? So you got to be careful. People may be coming for your wealth, and you may accidentally let them into your world to take the fruits of your labor.
Yeah, thank you. I like that. That resonates very well.
Mm.
Yeah, it has to do a lot, I think, with establishing boundaries. It's something that I'm been working on. It's like a work in progress thing, but yeah, I like it because it's very empowering, and like not in a gay way, but and also helps with self-esteem. It's like, yeah, I'm worth it, damn it.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah. It's it takes a lot to get there, and like you're basically there, but we all, that pops up upside down for all of us from time to time. It happens. It's not saying that you're not powerful. It just means that here's a chink in your armor being exploited.
Yeah, an Achilles heel, if you will. It's like, here's a blind spot you should look out for, something that it's also a tendency. And I find that with myself, because I am kind of a people pleaser, that I find I could fall into that a lot because I just kind of want to go with the flow a lot of times. So people will take advantage of that. Just like your little iguana. I've been whipped by an iguana before. It is not a joke. They do
Oh,
inflict pain. It's great.
I've heard people have broken finger bones, from a tail whip.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. That's crazy. So the other card that I pulled here would be for like the present situation, and it's the Seven of Cups, which I didn't pull up here because I was so enthralled. Oh, one thing I did want to say was I'm very thankful because a lot of times when I do this stuff, I always feel that I get more out of it than the person that I'm doing the swap for. That could just be a psychological thing on my end, but it could kind of like screw your brain and make it like feel inadequate. But I just feel thankful because I'm like, I'm getting so much out of this. So, if you don't get anything out of it, it doesn't matter because it's all about me, baby. I say that a lot. I joke a lot in our tarot podcast that way because, like I said before, I'm kind of a people pleaser, but people also will take it as like I'm just like a really nice guy. I'm like, no, it's because I'm trying to do it for myself, guys. I'm actually selfish. All right, so while I just did all that talking and I pulled up the card at the same time, I'm getting good at this. It's like I've been podcasting for years or something. Okay, here. So this is the Seven of Cups. Yeah, it's a very interesting card because a lot of the cups, especially in this deck and even in the Rider-Waite, they're very happy cards. And not that this isn't happy, but it looks a little gloomy. But I kind of want to I want to dispel that because this really always reminded me of when I was younger because I'd always be in the woods. Even though I lived in the suburbs, I'd always find some patch of woods. And in the summertime and high summer, this is what you get. Like the pond would be like full of all this like moss and algae and stuff. And it was kind of gross, but to me, it was always beautiful because it was like all this life and it was alive. And that's really what I see here. And this is like high summer. So this is great because it's your present card. I mean, 7 is the perfect number. And cups are all I see that you're about because you're about all this heart energy. So it's really perfect for, I feel like you're really coming into what you're meant to do. Like they say your path. And again, I feel like everyone's always on their path, no matter what you're doing. Maybe you're just walking it the wrong way or like it's an inverted way, but it's okay. like, you know, like again, no judgments on anybody, but I feel like right now you're coming into it and you're aligning with everything. And this thing really, like, if you look at it, it's perfection because it's this balance that doesn't really look natural. Like you'd see in nature, you know, nothing really kind of
Yeah.
grows this way. And another thing, if you look at it, it kind of resembles the tree, the Kabbalah tree, the
Yeah,
Kabbalistic tree, the
yeah. I
white
was
lily.
noticing it has like a pseudo aspect, like almost like it's showing like some of the higher branches of the tree and a couple aspects of the trunk, and I'm noticing that that this deck is making a Venus correlation. I see the Venusian symbol up there, and then that down below, I think that's either Scorpio or Virgo. I think it's Scorpio.
Scorpio, yeah,
That's
yeah.
Scorpio. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Interesting. Interesting. And the other thing that I see here is that it looks like these cups are being filled with it looks like it's dripping the nectar. Like that looks like it's the white lily, which would be, white lily is very important in Rider-Waite because that's the flower that intoxicates the fool.
Yeah, exactly. And another aspect of the lily is if you think of like the lotus flower aspect of it, how it comes up from the mud to the water and to bloom. It's kind of like that blooming of it. And this is again going back to that high summer concept. It's like everything is out. This is like the bountiful harvest, basically. But I
Yeah.
don't always use harvest because that's more, you know, you associate that with pentacles a little more. But and so I feel for if I was going to use it in a reading and just like you said, it doesn't really matter what the book says and all that stuff, and looking at it, it's more of that, especially pertaining to your life, because you're in the spot where you're using your heart energy and it's to its fullest extent. It's kind of like you were saying, the star card right after the tower.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Exactly, exactly. And it says, and it's called debauch down below. I noticed, which that's just interesting in and of itself.
Yeah.
Debauchery. Because that's kind of like that is a little bit like the devil card. Debauchery. It's being indulged. So in indulging on that nectar of the white lily, which has been it's being which is being extracted, perhaps concentrated. Um, it's an interesting way of looking at it. I actually I pulled from this one just to make an interesting comparison because this one also doesn't have a happy connotation. This is what the Seven of Vessels
Here, let
is
me pull it
like
up so everybody could see
in
it.
yeah. This is the Seven of Vessels in mine. This one is called Mourning. Mourning. So that this one is working off of the feelings of an emotional loss is is what goes on with this one, right? Because there's so many things that are interesting and different in the progression, especially in the minor arcana in this deck. And so I just wanted to just to pull that off real quick to as just a comparative.
No, I love that. It's a great contrast because a lot of the negativity associated with that card is actually that same thing because it's about bad choices, kind of stupidity, misjudging things, stuff like that. So it falls into that debauchery. And if you just think of the word debauch, uh, and if you're not judging the world, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. Like I said, it's just this. It's kind of like if you think of Futurama, it's like what was that robot that was like a couch? What was it, that ate
Oh my
grapes
god.
all
Yeah,
day?
no, his name was like literally like his name was just it was what he was. It was his program. Uh was it Hedonism Bot? I think
Yeah,
it was
yeah, something
Hedonism
like that.
Bot.
Yeah, hedonism bot.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like
So
more gravy.
yeah, exactly. Now, so you could look at that and you would judge it, right? People would be like from so many angles, but you could also say, listen, if that's a condition that's possible in this realm, why not experience it just so you know what it's like so you can get it out of your system?
Yeah,
So you're
exactly.
engaging in that and you're high, it's the highness of that. So I think though I would relate that more to your heart. So you're at that point where it's just starting
Yeah,
to like really beam out, and I'm really happy
yeah.
for you.
I mean, yeah, I mean like the way I see it, which is why I don't get like some triggered reaction from the devil card, is that like, like you will notice, which is why it's hard to get out of it as you grow up and you mature, is that like early on, you can enjoy a lot of these indulgences without a hell of a lot of negative consequences, right? you know I mean, sometimes you get a really bad dice roll, and like, you have your first intimacy, and now it's just like, now you might be a father next year, things like that. And that's certainly your tower coming to an end, because, well, now you're done having fun, because responsibility, and unless you want to really kill the kid,
Yeah, that's a tough
because
one.
science has made that possible in a guilt-free way ish. No.
No. I wanted to add something else, because I kind of forgot this, but I'm the drunken master. I'm not drunk, but I'm the drunken master, because I totally forgot. The card actually came reversed, but I'm glad I gave you the upright position first, because I don't always read reversed all the time, and sometimes I do, because this is perfect though, because it's very synchronistic, because reversed of this card means working without due payment or recognition. And I feel like right now, the content, this isn't a commercial for you, but screw everybody else, but the content you're putting out is very, like, the stuff I've listened to is awesome, and more people need to hear it. So I think that's part of it too. But it's cool because no despair, you just keep putting out videos all the time, which I love. It doesn't matter, and you get view. I'm not saying you don't get views, but what I'm saying is more people need to hear it, and I think that they will. And even if they're maybe not now, it doesn't matter. You're putting it out there, and it'll be there forever. Just like, I wrote a book, and it'll be out there forever. So it's like, yeah, dude.
It'll take time, and it's just a question of like, like right now, if I do anything, I got 2 strikes on my channel right now. It's so like literally that means that if I make community guideline inappropriate content one more time within the next, I don't know, it's like month, 3 months, I don't even know how long it lasts with these strikes at this point. They nuke your channel, and it's gone. And I'm not that worried about it. I committed digital seppuku once. It's an interesting feeling, like I had this point about how I felt about things, how I felt about my history, how much I was sick of everybody complaining about cancel culture and not doing anything about it. And you know what? I'm just gonna fucking cancel myself.
Nice.
Like, because I wanted to wipe some toxic digital karma. Like, I deleted my Facebook, my Twitter, my like deleting, like I didn't like hide my YouTube channel. I deleted it, like all sorts of early shit. Like, and honestly, it was a little bit painful, because I didn't have a hell of a lot of backups, and some of the videos that had my bearded dragons that all passed away, and I love them dearly as my children. Those are gone forever, allegedly. But that's okay, because it was a necessary kind of slate cleaning. And so then what you see now is me rebuilding since then, because I had that channel prior to 2018ish. I had that channel since like 2011. That's how long I had been making content, and I'd been researching since the Iraq War. I'd been going through a developmental process, getting myself to the point of being a content creator, and started doing that in 2011. And then by 2018, I decided to commit digital seppuku, and stayed off of it all for quite a while. And I didn't have to. I wasn't in any trouble with anybody. I still had all these different friends or whatnot. It was just something I had to do, and it was a great decision. In all honesty, for things happening in my internal alchemy.
Yeah, I think, and plus part of that is you're living in the future, so you made that decision just in time. Just like I stopped cutting my hair just in time, and then all of a sudden I couldn't get my hair cut anyway, even if I wanted to. But you know what? Screw them, because I wasn't getting it cut anyway. I stopped. Last haircut I got by the man was June of 2019.
I see.
Actually, it's
Wow,
funny. I say the man.
Wait, your
because there's
hair
actually
is
a black
that
guy.
long since you've been growing it since just June of what, a year and a half ago?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, okay, that makes sense. It's a little over a year, right?
Yeah, my hair grows
You know,
pretty quickly though.
this hair has been growing like this since two, 2002 or something. Yeah,
Nice.
it's been a long time. Tiny little trims. I don't go like, like I do this myself. Like I do like the undercut,
Yeah.
like right here. Otherwise it would be horrible, especially in the summer. Because I'm half Italian, so like it's thick and
Say no more. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta go. No, I'm just kidding. You're half Italian? Oh shit, I can't do this now. All right, so the fact that you're half Italian brings us into the Leaning Tower of Pisa, because of course, guess what card came for you?
Is it the ace? No.
No, sir. So this is the card that came for the third card. So this, I arranged like a pyramid. So this would be the top of the pyramid. And I don't say the future because the future doesn't exist. I say this is like the outcome of the situation, or, possible ways forward. And it's funny because I was just looking up while we were talking different interpretations of this card, and I like the artwork, and I clicked on it and I realized it was a German, I think, because it says Der Turm. So that's the tower, but in the English version, it's all the same. It just says the tower, and it just says trumps and not trompe. But you're already familiar with the tower, so I don't really have to tell you much about it. So I think this is, I don't think this is you as much as this is kind of like I see is what's going to be happening in society, and not to be doom and gloom. I just think internally this is what people are going to be experiencing, right? And people like us,
right,
more specifically people like you, because the reading that you gave me is, I don't see, this is like, I'm gonna make a funny joke here because I'm a comedian. Like, so when I used to allegedly, when I had sex with women, like they would always say to me, like, you don't ever like make expressions, like I never know, like if, but I'm like, no, I'm enjoying it. That's just not the kind of person I am, right? Yeah. So I love the reading you gave me, even though it probably might not have seemed that way. So that was a weird way to say that. But hey, I'm a weird comedian, so that's what I do. But anyway, back to this card before it gets real awkward, everybody. No, I'm just kidding.
You're not making foolish faces. You're not enjoying it, are you? Exactly. I'm terrible. I can't please you, can I?
Yeah, exactly. Something like that, allegedly.
No, it's just like I'm just working really hard. Yeah. Are you happy? Good. That's all that matters.
Like I'm on the inside right now having a party. I'm sorry. So yeah, yeah, so I feel like this, and this is kind of already what is happening, really, but I like how you see the dove up there and he's flying out there with that, because it reminds me like the story of Noah's Ark, where it's like there's an end to it. It's a cycle, and right now it's kind of like this is what people are going to be going through, this tower coming in, it's the burning, the fire, the melting, and there's going to be people like us, like I said, you more specifically too, that are going to be able to use your gift. And like I said, the what I got out of what you told me really resonated a lot. And I feel like if you could do that, or like you are going to be doing that and helping people, and it's like you said, it's just going to come when it does. Like it's not us to say we're going to make it rich and do this with all our money. It's like, no, if we could feed ourselves, that's one step. It's like, then we'll see what we can do from there. But yeah,
it's like like the tower. I mean, the tower has, for me, it's just like so much of what was a sum of all my anxieties, my fears or whatnot, was like seeing how things started. 15 days to slow the spread, and so like, no, this is not going to be 15 days. And it's like the tower was falling. It's just like the tower fell. It's just that I'm the only one that noticed that the tower had fallen, right? Like, because everybody else, because they don't have a concept of the tower. you know, like, you know, they're not understanding that that metaphysically their freaking, you know, world, just, destroyed itself.
Mm.
Yeah.
But I think
let me,
more's obviously going to come for people because once I don't know, I can't make any claims, but I just feel like it's not gonna be like the movies tell us, and it's not gonna be, I don't think, crazy, but it's just gonna be different, you know. And it's, again, I think there
right.
are people, it's like the dark night of the soul, because the like, people would never think you could shut everything down, and when you did and they got put in their homes, people just had this perspective shift on how the world was. And it was similar to me. This is what I wrote about in my book, because after I overcame my addiction, you know, which was just in a way that I was like tricking myself into this behavior. Once I saw what I was doing to myself, I just laughed at it and it went away, right? It lost its control, because it was all me just doing it. So I feel that, but in an so I was able to alter my behavior based on how I felt. I'm like, oh, I'm this new person. I don't want to do this anymore. I do want to do this. I don't want to do this. Whereas
Mm.
2020 was, everybody got so scared, stuffed in their house into that false dark night of the soul, and then they were told what to do. So I feel like that might have some happen again to some degree, and you know, there's going to be more people waking up and more people seeking out people like us to kind of, you know, not like, again, we're not like here to help or heal anybody. We just assist them in getting to know themselves. That's how I kind of say it. But yeah, I feel like
Right.
that's going to be
Right.
coming more.
Exactly. Well, let me see here. You just so you just did two there because you did kind of like a past, present, future kind of thing, and so like I've just drawn one on you, so I figured like I'll go and I'll draw now on you.
Ooh, baby.
All right. So we got here the two of stones reversed. Two of stones reversed, which is challenge. And so this here is it's two hares that are kind of they're kind of beating each other up a little bit. They're fighting, right? And so it's two of stones. So you have, there's the king of stones over here, and then you got, two of stones challenge, but it's reversed, right? So that's kind of following in continuity with the fact that, you got this the king of stones, the wolf, but you had this algae's rune reversed that popped up, and I talked about what that was. So this conflict for, forthcoming, it might be the kind of conflict that you might feel averse to it. You might end up like buckling under the pressure and going to avoid conflict and just kind of like surrendering what they're coming for. It's just like, oh, you have coin, that's my coin, right? Like some little freaking tax grabbler just shows up and does what he's gonna do.
Not on
This
my
kind
watch,
of,
but I get what you're saying.
yeah, yeah,
Allegedly.
this kind
No,
of
I love it.
this
I
kind
love
of
it.
thing.
Keep going.
Yeah. And what do we have here? All right, we've got Kanaj, and this is Kanaj. Ooh, this is reversed. Also, another blocked energy. Kanaj Kanaj to me it's like the hermit's got that lantern, right? It's in the Thoth deck there. It's in the Rider-Waite Smith. Like that lantern light is basically what Kanaj is. This is where we get the hard C, or the letter K comes from Kanaj, and it looks like it looks like the less than or greater than
Oh yeah, yeah.
symbol. So it's this projection of light, and its meaning is knowledge, ability, and authority, right? So this challenge is gonna have its difficulties. It's going to come from this lack of illumination, in a sense, about the situation going on, which basically is going to follow in the continuity with the Elhaj rune here. That's reversed also. And in my system, you said you saw the video. It's not my system. Like I've adopted this from ancient techniques that new teachers have put out there, and then I'm putting my presentation of it out there, is that El-Hajj works in the mind. Kanaj works with gut intelligence. The first 8 in the sequence of the Elder Futhark is gut intelligence based energy, physical realm energy, right? So that's why it's knowledge, ability, and authority. It's stuff that's very grounded in what you've become capable of with your work, right? Like you got your garden going and everything else, right? So like the things that you now know or kano, that's why kanaj, kano, the silent K, that comes from everything that you've picked up on. And this is the stuff like you were telling me earlier, like like I am a farmer, I am a gardener, that's you can now equivocally say that. So this is going to be coming from a place where where you're going to be like, I don't know what to do, right? It's just like it's going to come from a place where I don't feel like I know how to handle this, how to solve this problem, right? That's going to be this Kanaj reversed energy is going to hit coming from that. And you're going to have to go and focus in and rely on your strengths, and try to compensate for that and work on building up your knowledge, ability, and authority in things to build up that more cohesive protection. Oh, and by the way, with the El-Hajj rune reversed, you want to work on your identity. Knowing yourself brings out that shamanic power. There's a whole system of balances that comes into play in the way the system works on the 8-sided wheel.
Well, that was great. Yeah, I feel like I have some challenges coming up, and that it's really applies to them. So it's good to get some clarity on that, because I feel like a lot of times when those situations hit that you described, I would go into, and other people I see go into, humans just go into this reactionary mode, or we just kind of evacuate, I guess you would say, and it kind of just goes onto a program, and you could say like a demon or whatever takes over, and you just go with whatever is the suggested path, I guess you could say, or whatever. But yeah, that's some good stuff. I like that, especially the less than or greater than, and what you were saying about the different ways they exist. Would you say about Kano, or what's the rune again, the name?
Right. Well, yeah, I'm just saying like the word, the word no, which has the silent K, it has a direct etymological relationship to Kanaj,
Kanaj,
as part of the ancient Indo-European language system, the Elder Futhark, which goes back into antiquity from the various Germanic tribes in which it found them, and then that pops up in the Old Norse and things like that, and it's just it's rooted in all those things. So I'm saying Kano just to to bring out that silent K, to make you realize where the Elder Futhark's meanings can still be preserved in things we use in our current English tongue.
Yeah, I feel English is very magical. There's a lot in there. It's very like the green language.
Yeah, it can be. There's too much in the hodgepodge. Like English is fine for so many things, and of course it's the only language that I really speak. So I'm not like poo-pooing it on that level, but the language has been catered so much, for exploitation because of how much we've lost in original meaning, and how much our language is a mishmash of, there's English in there, there's German, there's French in there, there's Latin, it in the like there's some core languages that are all over it, like Greek and whatnot, and Spanish in certain places, and then like more things will end up entering the English lexicon as English speaking people continue to let our culture get mixed and diluted, which is kind of a natural consequence of this age of Aquarius that we're entering. It's one of the manifestations of this of the air mixing the waters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, that's great. It's so funny because I was gonna say something, but I actually have an Aquarian deck. I don't have it with me, but I'm gonna start looking at it a little more. I got it early on because of a book that I bought, and the full image in it was the Aquarian full, and I really liked it. So, are you familiar with that deck at all?
The Aquarian Fool deck. No, I don't think
No,
I've
I
ever
mean,
heard of this one.
it's just the Aquarian deck, but the full on it was on a book that I had got, this esoteric book about the tarots, like from the 80s. It was this rare book that I
Okay.
found.
I don't know either one, so that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that wow, I just like totally spaced out and lost my train of thought on that one. Anyway, I what I was gonna say though is really important is that self-knowledge. I think because anytime we do face these challenges, it the thing to do if you really want to for me, I'll just say if I want to better myself, it's to depend on myself and to realize that it's all going to be fine. I'll know the answer to the riddle when it comes. I just have to pull the trigger, basically. Oh, I know exactly what I was going to say now. I remember. I'm glad I brought it around. The English language. What I wanted to say was it's what I mean by magical too. I agree with what you say exactly, but what I mean is like it's like a tool, just like a gun, right? It could be used in such a beautiful, positive way, just like a hammer or whatever. You could build things with, like you can make funny, you can make beautiful poetry, and you can make music, and you can make funny comedy and all this stuff. But then you can create laughter and all these. You could create feelings in people. But then you can also use it to like create spellcraft and wizardry among people.
Yes.
So that's why I think right now that the age we're in, it's kind of dangerous. And I feel like I don't think we're supposed to talk as much as we do, if at all. Like, not that there's anything wrong with it, but I just think that humans, maybe there was a time or maybe there's an age where we don't even really have to talk. It's just like more natural where, but it's okay. Maybe I'm wrong, but I
No,
don't know.
you're not entirely wrong. Just because like whether you're following a path of light or false light, uh, things are occulted for a reason, especially when if you think about the time of the witch hunts.
Mm.
um like much of the wizardry was the church defining what witches were, as a pretense for going after pagans that were living a very natural and independent life and exploiting you know the here and there where people were like casting curses on each other and things like that, and and kind of weaponizing it, right? And like we're living in a time where we're seeing how the wizardry that created the witch craze of the Dark Ages was created, as we look at how they've used that same wizardry to create this witch hunt against the conservative, if you will, or anybody who's a properly like small government minded, independent patriotic Americans, things like that, right? And using all this inversion of things, right? And so there's the witch as the church defines it, and they basically created that. They basically put their devils into the world and said that their devils were our ancestors, magical craftsmen, right? This is why they eventually, like in antiquity, the devil didn't have horns. The devil was given horns because they wanted to take the horned gods like Kern, Cernunnos, or Frey, the
And
horned gods. This is for the horned gods, this rune.
Man.
You know, and they wanted to demonize literally the horned gods. You know, Thor is represented by rams. Rams have horns. You know, it's just like, so they took something within God's creation and they made us afraid of it, so that way we would disconnect from it, you know, and forced it to become occulted to protect it, because you couldn't openly do it anymore, right? And so we have to be very careful and very very responsible and wise in our presentations, what we, you know, why we do things, certain things publicly, and why we do certain things privately within in-group preferences, so on and so forth, you know, because because of how many like steps on the ladder of consciousness it takes to get people to comprehend that and to remember that again. And different things are occulted at different periods of time in throughout human history, and dealing with that agenda. And this is why what we do in spell breaking is so important.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And you know, that gave me kind of an idea, because the way you can exist on YouTube, or a way somebody could exist, is you could just make content on YouTube, which is totally YouTube safe, and that's your public, like, personal persona. Then you go, come to BitChute to see my private person. You know what I mean? Then you're like, this is who I, you know what I mean? Like, not that you have to, but it's just an interesting thing. If your thing gets nuked, maybe you can go forward and try that or something. But I love that, because that's something to bring it back full circle, and we can kind of end the recording, but we can still keep talking. Haha, for everybody.
Right. Well, you know, I did actually, if you'd let me do one more, because you did 3 cards.
Please do, yeah.
Let me do 3. Let me do my third. Because
I have nowhere to be till Thursday, so go ahead, sir.
Because, you know, we need a trinity. Oh, how dare you?
A double trinity? Oh no.
Oh no. All right.
Just as long as we don't do 3 trinities.
You know what? I am glad I pulled this card, because I was thinking of this card when you had pulled the 7 of Vessels, because it reminded me of the 8 of Vessels in this deck, which you have here. It's popped up.
Keep that held up, and I'm going to make your bigger on the screen. Okay. Oh, I made myself bigger. Hang on. Go ahead.
That's what she said. Okay. Anyway, so here it is right side up, because you had gotten it upside down. Because, you know, this one follows a similar concept where there's cup overfloweth. So in this one, it's really interesting the way the 8 cups are represented. You have these 3 cups at the top that they have the water collected. And then those 3 cups fill this one giant cauldron. Then that one giant cauldron overflows, and it's received by 4 cups down below. And so I look,
Trinity. Sorry.
Yeah. So you've got this trinity of emotions up here that kind of fills, like, you know, I kind of want to say it's like a heart space almost, is this big cauldron, your heart. And then these 4 down below, well, I kind of see that as like that's the 4 elements getting filled, you know, the fire, earth, water, and air in and of themselves, the heart space representing the ether, and then up here in the Trinity, in the Trinity, and, you know, my way of understanding the Trinity, which I think is what most pagans understand. It's the Father, the Mother, and the creation. And you know, because, you know, I believe there is a God and a goddess. There's a goddess. That's what the Holy Spirit is a culting. The mother, you know, and that's what the Catholics robbed us of. So anyway, yeah. So you've got that.
Thank you. I thank them for that. Yes. By the way, I'm thankful they did that, because discovering it was so beautiful. It was worth it.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, so it's upside down. So that means that all of this stuff, it's pouring. You know, it's pouring out, and it's an emptying process, right? So, you know, so this is in your future position. So that is, you know, that's going to be showing that you know, all of this, this emotion overfloweth is, you might be experiencing like, just a drain, something that could, it could emotionally like overwhelm you, it could throw you into a despair curve. The name on this one is Rebirth, is rebirth, right? So that it's that kind of water, like birth waters that flow. You may feel in this continuity because of the other two prior cards, with what is coming up. You may feel like it's a temptation to be falling into the despair, right? It's not going to be happy. It's not going to be pretty. It's something, to be warned about. Because of course those four, I forget to mention those four cups, those also overflow at the top of this lake, which then pours into the river. So it's showing you the whole thing represents water in its network. So it can show how one emotional setback can drain you entirely of feeling and make you comfortably numb. To bring it up again. And what else do we have here? Woo, and more reverses. I am so sorry you're getting bad news. Tiwaj, which is one of my favorite runes because of Tyr, and Tyr is the god that I work with the most, because he's the god of truth and justice, and war, but it's about that righteous warfare. So he's coming up reversed over here. Tyr, True North is coming up reversed. So it's basically saying that this emotional manifestation is going to throw you off of course, off of your highest, truest purpose in your destiny, right? It's meant to be upright like this. It's an arrow or a spear, if you will. It represents the Urnmasil, which is it's a counterpart to Yggdrasil, which is that's the world tree. The Urnmasil kind of represents, it's the pillar of heaven. If you were to imagine, there was a tree trunk that went from the North Pole to the North Star, and then the canopy. That's what you have here. It's the North Pole canopy, and then the firmament at the top of it. And so that is that's the pillar that holds up heaven, right? And so that's facing down. Its counterpart in balance is the Laguj, which is the lake, like lock. And that's about, and it makes a lot of sense, because you've got the lake right here, and so this is about it's about doing more of the shadow work, right? So this stuff is going to throw you into a necessity of that shadow work, because there may be something that you've been overlooking, or you've been kind of swimming in the emotional shallows, and you have to go into the deep waters where the light has trouble reaching. And the further down into those depths that you go, the more you will find the truth that then puts you back into right action.
Great. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's awesome, man.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I get it. Yeah, that's
yeah. For sure.
Well, I guess I got my homework cut out for me.
Exactly. Like I work with, whenever I'm doing my divination as a pagan, I work with the Norns, the three sisters of fate. All of our mythology understands understands, like they're people know them from like Hamlet and stuff, because the witch craze, right? These are the giantesses, the witches of past, present, and future. Urd, which is also earth, which is also our memory. That is what once was. Verdandi is the ever present moment, the what is coming into being, that is what verdandi means, and then skuld, which is where we get the word should, what should be. This is this is what is coming down and coming into the manifestation and feeding into verdandi. And you know, this is how we operate with the ether, with the time stream. Our ancestors called it the weird, and you cannot work with the runes unless you're tapping into this energy of time, this energy of the etheric universe, and the and the real kind of threads of reality, if you will.
Oh, it's really fascinating. I love it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm gonna have to look into this even further. Well, I'm very interested to see how that manifests exactly in my life. I have a few ideas of what it could be, but you know, only further. I mean, I just wrote a book called Shadow Worked, so I guess we'll find out if there's more to be happening.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Just remember the things I said about how you work with your reversed energies, and you'll be all right. You know, that's the beautiful thing, because the tarot doesn't quite have that, but the runes with the system I adopted does, where there's an answer for when a rune comes up reverse. And not all runes can be reversed. Some of them are the same no matter how you draw them. So yeah, so there's built-in solutions for development. So it looks bad, but you also have been given the tools to improve yourself, fix it, and be the best you possible.
yeah, thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And I honestly, I don't fear it, you know, it's just it is what it is. I've been through so much before. It's like just give me more, I guess. Let's do it. Like whatever it is. And you know,
Right.
I feel like it could even manifest in a relationship or something, maybe in that case, I guess. I don't know. I don't want, I just want to be open to see what happens. I don't want to like manifest something because I was like desiring it too much, you know what I mean? If you can feel that energy, you know. But
Of course. Yeah.
I've heard recently, I've been hearing like people saying the shadow work like is like you do it with a couple, like in a couple you can really do really good shadow work because it's like a mirror for yourself, and it's not like you're trying to fix people, you know what I mean? You're just working on yourself, but through someone else, and they have to be, well, I guess they don't have to be conscious of it, but it works better when they're also conscious and they're trying to
Well,
work on themselves, you know. Like
yeah, to a certain degree. I mean, sometimes you just have to. I mean, it, you know, like shadow work. You know, if we're talking Jungian, there's a reason why it's called the individuation process. You know.
yeah, exactly. It's all in different forms, but I guess we'll see what
Mhm.
happens.
Yeah.
So what's the to go back to that the last rune, what's the what do they say is the way to overcome it when it comes reversed, like the way to unblock the energy?
Like I said, to go. All right, so there's Laguj, which is another rune in there. It's the letter L. That's the counter pointing energy to it. And you know that it represents a lake. It's a deep lake. So you go into the deep waters of, like you go into the you go into the abyss. You go and you take your dive into the abyss, and the further down you go, the further you dig and you find the truth. And you hit that bottom, and then once you hit the bottom, you find what's down there. You go back up, and that coming back up sets you back on your straight course.
All
And
right.
so that's a path that only you and perhaps the partner in this
Yeah,
partnership
it could
that
be.
you
Well,
have.
right now there's
Yeah,
no partner, like there's not even a hint of it, but I'm just saying I just
right.
it's like you know, so you get that tingly feeling, but again, I don't want to manifest something. I'm glad I asked you that again because
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I remember saying, but I feel like there's something more he added. When I go back and listen, I'm sure I'll hear it again, but I think it was something about hitting the bottom and coming back up that it just really, because
Yeah.
I love, you know, I'm a swimmer and all that stuff. So yeah. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Zerilath, I really greatly appreciate that. And I feel like with all the guests I've been having recently, it's just been a eye-opening experience and getting to know myself and other people in that same experience. So I'd like to thank you for that. And
I'm honored that you invited me on. Thank you so much.
oh yeah. And is there anything that you'd like to promote or any last words you'd like to say before I murder you? No.
Oh.
You didn't know that was what this was? No.
Oh no. it's
Allegedly. No.
Is this is this a it's midsummer or something?
Or it's like, no, it's even worse. It's one of those Saw movies. Now that the podcast is over, like the roof's gonna open up. All right, I'm done.
Right. Yeah, just in that basic way, you find me on YouTube, BitChute, Minds, Odyssey, Gab. It's all Zerilath, at Zerilath, and all those things, MeWe. And that's where you can hit me up, check out some of my content. My email is available there if you want to get a private reading session from me. An hour-long session is $90, $60 for a 30-minute session. And it's all tarot and runes, and I use, you know what, here, like real quick, because I forgot to do it. All right, snow leopard, your guiding spirit. I usually do a guiding spirit when I do a normal
Take your time
reading.
if you want. Go ahead.
All right, just be real fast, because I know we're wrapping up here. So this is the snow leopard.
No, I wasn't. I meant like I was being serious. I wasn't being sarcastic. I know he's come off as sarcastic. You could take your time. Go ahead.
Okay, all right.
Because it's about me. That's why I'm like, so take your time. I want to hear about me. Trust me.
Oh yeah, for sure. So this is an earth elemental guide. So one of the two cats that are in this deck. There's a lion, and then there's this here, the snow leopard, which it emphasizes mystery, agility, belief, and sensitivity. So tapping into this spirit guide will also help you with tapping into these elements with the energies of the runes and where you're struggling with your psyche, and to bring you forth into it. Like the mystery, like that's going to help you with the Tiwaj reversed, because that's good with the Lagouge going down into the abyss. The agility aspect of it, that's going to really help with you've got the, of course, the you've got the that challenge reverse going on over here, which is also related with that Kanaj reverse. And I mentioned strength. There's a rune for that Uruj. That's the strength, health, and vitality is what Uruj is about. So agility is going to be directly associated with that. Belief and sensitivity. Those aren't, sensitivity is obviously with the 8 of vessels, the vessel situation. And then, belief is, believe in yourself, because that's the self-identity, the Isa rune, which is where we get the letter I. Uruj is you, obviously, which is the counterbalance to the Alhaj reversed. Finding your true core essence, that pillar of you, that's going to be of significant importance. So okay, so that's that.
Wow, that was great. I love obviously I have 2 cats, so I like cats, but the snow leopard is I like that. The different aspects of it. Awesome.
Good.
What's up, Locke? You awake now? No, still sleeping.
He's chill. He's there. He's just hanging.
Yeah. It's funny. He's like, definitely. I was actually watching Locke for most of that. I'm like, this is coming from Locke, isn't it?
Told you, he's my handler. So he's channel. Exactly. You see, nobody takes you seriously in spirituality unless you've got a funny hat. My funny hat just happens to have a heartbeat.
I love it. Well, on that note, we're going to wrap this up. Hey, guys, you can find me at morelawsmoreproblems.com. You can get my book at shadowworked.com. SHAWOD. Oh, wait, did I spell it wrong? SHADOWWORKED. That's at shadowwork.com. And check out the Tarot podcast at tarotbull.com. And until we see you guys again, I just want to say thank you one more time, Zerilath. I kind of forgot how to end an episode. It's been a while. And we'll talk to you guys later. And now I hit stop recording.